Welcome everyone, join us today on an exploration of the life and legacy of Walter Becker, the enigmatic co-founder of the iconic band Steely Dan. From his humble beginnings to his unparalleled contributions to the world of music. So let's dive in. Walter Carl Becker, born February 20, 1950 in Queens, New York City, in the United States of America. Becker's childhood was marked by the upheaval of his parents' separation and his mother's return to England, leading him to believe she had passed away. Raised by his father and grandmother in Queens and Scarsdale, New York, Becker grappled with the revelation his mother was still alive, fostering a strained relationship with her. His formative years were marked by turmoil and complexity. Growing up in a fractured family, he developed a keen sense of cynicism towards human nature, including his own. Despite the challenges he faced, Becker possessed a remarkable ability to keenly observe and mimic people, delving into their hidden psychology and translating his insights into witty and incisive art. His unique perspective and sharp wit would later become defining characteristics of his creative endeavors. Despite these familial challenges, he found refuge in music and the bustling musical scene of Manhattan. Transitioning from saxophone to guitar, Becker honed his craft under the tutelage of neighbor Randy California, setting the stage for his iconic role in the world of music. During their time at Bard College in Annandale on Hudson, New York, Donald Fagen stumbled upon Becker's guitar playing at the campus coffee shop, the Red Balloon. Struck by Becker's professional and contemporary sound, Fagen was impressed by the unique quality that resonated, likening it to that of a black musician. Inspired by their shared musical interests, they joined forces to create the band Leather Canary, recruiting fellow student and future actor, Chevy Chase on drums. Despite Chase's initial assessment of the group as a bad jazz band, this collaboration laid the foundation for their future endeavors. In 1969, Becker departed Bard College without finishing his degree, relocating with Fagen to Brooklyn to pursue their shared musical ambitions. Trying to peddle their tunes in the Brill Building in Midtown Manhattan, Kenny Vance, of Jay&TheAmericans, who had a production office in the building, took an interest in their music. Through Vance they were offered to compose music on the soundtrack of the low-budget 1971 film, You've Got to Walk It Like You Talk It or You'll Lose That Beat, featuring Richard Pryor. Adopting the aliases Gus Mahler, Becker, and Tristan Fabriani, Fagen, they embarked on a career as a songwriting duo, while also touring with Jay&TheAmericans. Unauthorized demos from 1968 to 1971 feature early work by Becker and Fagen, showcasing their raw talent before Steely Dan. Sparse arrangements and lo-fi production characterize these recordings, with some songs later re-recorded for official albums. They also contributed to Linda Hoover's I Mean to Shine album in 1970, released much later in 2022 due to licensing issues. After relocating to Brooklyn, Becker and Fagen faced little success until Barbra Streisand recorded their song, I Mean to Shine, on her 1971 album. Their luck turned when Gary Katz, an associate of producer Elliot Vance, hired them as staff songwriters for ABC Records in Los Angeles. Katz later produced all their 1970s albums, with engineer Roger Nichols collaborating closely. Nichols would go on to win 6 Grammy Awards for his work with the band from the 1970s to 2001. At the suggestion of Gary Katz, Becker and Fagen formed their own band, recruiting guitarists Denny Diaz and Jeff Skunk Baxter, drummer Jim Hodder, and singer David Palmer. They named the band after a steam-powered dildo mentioned in William S. Burroughs' Naked Lunch. Palmer joined as a second lead vocalist due to Fagen's occasional stage fright and the label's concern about his voice. After a couple of failed singles, Steely Dan's debut album, Can't Buy a Thrill, hit the shelves in 1972. Featuring hit singles like Do It Again and Reeling in the Years, which reached number 6 and number 11 respectively on the Billboard chart, the album quickly gained popularity. Alongside Dirty Work, sung by David Palmer, these tracks became radio favorites. Initially handling most of the vocal duties live due to Fagen's stage reluctance, Palmer eventually left the group, when Katz and Becker decided that they preferred Fagen's interpretations of songs, leaving Fagen to take over during their first tour. Album, Pretzel Logic, released in early 1974, showcased Steely Dan's diversity with hits like Rikki Don't Lose That Number, reaching number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100. The album also featured a note-for-note rendition of Duke Ellington and James Bubba Miley's East St. Louis Toodle-Oo. It was the first Steely Dan album to feature Becker on guitar, not bass. A growing divide emerged between Becker and Fagen and the other members of Steely Dan, particularly Baxter and Hodder, who desired to tour extensively. Becker and Fagen, however, preferred to focus solely on writing and recording, leading to the departure of the other members who felt marginalized. Diaz stayed until album Gaucho in 1980, while McDonald contributed until the band's hiatus after the LP. Steely Dan's last tour was on July 5, 1974, in California. Becker and Fagen assembled a diverse group of session musicians for Katy Lied in 1975. Despite going gold with hits like Black Friday and Bad Sneakers, they publicly apologized for the album's compromised sound due to a faulty DBX noise reduction system. Katy Lied also included notable tracks like Dr. Wu and Chain Lightning. Following this, The Royal Scam, their next studio album, was released in May 1976, featuring prominent guitar work by Larry Carlton and sessions by drummer Bernard Purdie. While lacking a standout single in the US, the UK saw success with Haitian Divorce, driving album sales and becoming Steely Dan's first major hit there. Despite the triumph of Arja in 1977, Becker faced personal and professional setbacks, including struggles with a narcotics addiction. Tragically, after the duo returned to New York in 1978, his girlfriend Karen Roberta Stanley, who also managed the band, died of a drug overdose in his apartment on January 30, 1980, leading to a wrongful death lawsuit against him, which he later settled out of court. Becker's challenges continued when he was struck by a cab in Manhattan, shattering his right leg in several places. Left hospitalized as the final mix for the album was underway, Becker could only contribute to the collaboration with Fagen and Katz through telephone conversations. Dealing with commercial pressures and the complex recording process of Gaucho in 1980, exhausted and overwhelmed, Becker and Fagen decided to suspend their partnership in June 1981. After Steely Dan disbanded, Becker relocated to Maui with his family, embracing a new lifestyle that involved quitting drugs, smoking, and drinking. He transitioned into avocado farming and critiquing contemporary culture. Despite his departure from the spotlight, Becker remained active in the music industry, producing albums for bands like Fra Lippo Lippi and China Crisis, and collaborating with artists such as Michael Franks and Ricky Lee Jones. He even reunited with Donald Fagen in 1986 to work on Rosie Vella's debut album, Zazu. In 1991, Becker participated in Fagen's New York Rock and Soul Revue. In the early 2000s, Becker and Fagen rekindled their collaboration, with Becker producing Fagen's album, Kamakuriad in 1993, followed by Fagen co-producing Becker's debut solo album, 11 Tracks of Whack in 1994. Steely Dan also embarked on their first tour in nearly 2 decades, leading to the release of their live album, Alive in America in 1995. Their comeback gained momentum with the release of Two Against Nature, in 2000, their first studio album in 20 years, which won 4 Grammy Awards, including Album of the Year. The duo was also honored with induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and received honorary doctorates from Berklee College of Music in 2001. They continued their success with the release of Everything Must Go in 2003, followed by a tour. During this time, Becker remained active in the music industry, co-producing albums for other artists and releasing his second solo album, Circus Money, in 2008. His contributions to music were recognized with induction into the Long Island Music Hall of Fame in 2008. In total, Steely Dan released a remarkable catalog comprising 9 studio albums, 2 live and video albums, 12 compilation albums, 22 singles, and 2 box sets, solidifying their legacy as one of the most influential and prolific bands in the history of popular music. Becker was known for his extensive collection of musical equipment, including hundreds of guitars and amplifiers. Following his passing, Julians auctioned off his gear for a record-breaking total of $3.3 million, highlighting the unique nature of his collection, as he had played every item. Additionally, Becker coined the term GAS Guitar Acquisition Syndrome, in a 1994 column for Guitar Player magazine, which later became popularized as Gear Acquisition Syndrome in music communities. Personally, in 1975, Becker married Juana Faturose. Later, in 1984, he married Eleanor Roberta Meadows, with whom he had a son named Kawhi and adopted a daughter named Cyan. The family lived on a cattle ranch with a recording studio, where Becker began his second career as a producer. They later divorced in 1997. Becker wrote Little Kawhi for his son, which became the final track on 11 Tracks of Whack. His final marriage was to Delia Siafi. In the spring of 2017, Becker received a diagnosis of an aggressive form of esophageal cancer during a routine medical checkup. Despite undergoing intensive treatment, the cancer quickly progressed, preventing him from performing at Steely Dan's concerts in the following months. On September 3, 2017, Becker passed away from the disease at the age of 67, in his home in Manhattan, New York City. At the time of his death, no specific cause or details were disclosed, but a statement released by his widow, Delia Becker, in November shed light on his battle with the illness. In a media statement on the day of Becker's passing, his longtime friend and musical partner, Fagan, remembered him as smart as a whip, an excellent guitarist, and a great songwriter. Fagan expressed his commitment to preserving the music they created together with the Steely Dan band for as long as possible. Becker was later cremated. Numerous musicians, including Julian Lennon, Steve Lukather, and John Darnielle of the Mountain Goats, publicly mourned Becker's death and paid tribute to his musical legacy. Rickie Lee Jones, whose album Flying Cowboys was produced by Becker, penned an editorial for Rolling Stone, reminiscing about her enduring friendship with him. On October 28, 2018, a public ceremony honored Walter Becker by co-naming 72nd Drive at 112th Street in Forest Hills, Queens, New York City, as Walter Becker Way. And there you have it. As we reflect on the life of Walter Becker, his pioneering spirit and enduring musical influence serve as a testament to his lasting legacy. Though he may have left this world, his timeless creations with Steely Dan continue to resonate with audiences worldwide, ensuring that his memory will live on for generations to come. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos just like this. Take care and bye for now.